Today I'm going to check the hives, clean some of this grass up here. It's now probably 5 or 6 weeks after we put the packages in here, and you can see that I've already added 2 boxes of honey on top. Well, empty boxes. Hopefully they'll fill it with honey, and we'll see if there's any in there. Also, because the hives are doing so well this year, I just got a queen, and we're going to make a 5th hive by taking a few frames of eggs from each of the different active hives here and put the new queen into it and hopefully get her started, get a 5th hive going. So far only 1 swarm in the neighborhood, but that should be happening pretty soon too. So the thing you notice different about this box of queens versus the one we had earlier is in the other one there was 1 queen in here, and now there's a queen and a bunch of regular worker bees, because I got to take the sugar and feed her on the way because there's no sugar other than this little piece right here. So like before, I'm going to open up, make the path a little bit smaller, and then somebody's already in, they smell the queen. They're already checking things out here. These are from these other hives behind us, and I'm going to now put the hive together, and then I'll show you how we do that. So, bottom board. Then for now, we're just going to take one of these deeps, very heavy because I've had a bunch of frames in here that already have some honey and some pollen in it, so that the new bees in the new hive don't have to work as hard. They can just work on expanding and growing.
Yep.
So I'm putting 3 different kinds of frames in. This one here has some capped honey on the outside. You can see the frames are empty in the middle, and then the honey's there. Those are going to go on the outside because that's usually where the bees store the honey. The next one, see all the yellow in there? That's pollen already put inside there from a previous hive that didn't make it. So I'm just using the pollen over. That's going to go inside next. And then the last frames are empty ones. This is where the queen's going to lay her eggs. Nothing inside these. These go in the middle. See this white stuff here? That's bad. This is from wax moths. Wax moths will get into old hives, usually not active ones, but they will just completely destroy this because they eat all the brown stuff in the inside of each of these combs, and they'll make a tunnel along here. They're like little worms. They'll come down here, they'll come up this way, and then they'll hatch and more will come out, and they can literally destroy an empty hive in just a few months. They don't usually exist in a hive that has active bees because the bees don't like them. They're going to just take them and kill them and throw them out. I don't see any active things in there. I had frozen these hives before, so it may be that there was a wax moth in there that just died from the freezing. Next thing is we're going to look at the hives, and we have to take from here, we have to take some of the frames with the eggs on it and maybe some brood, and I'll show you that in a second. We're going to smoke them. We'll take a look, see if there's any honey in it. So this is a frame I just took out of one of the active hives. See all the shiny stuff? That right there is honey. You see the wax kind of in between. And then these things here, these big cells are actually from drones. See that big fat bee right there? That's a male bee. That's a male bee right there. These other guys are actually girls. These are all the worker bees. They do all the work. The drones, they basically are in there to mate with the queens. I'm going to take these off because I destroyed them opening them up. Most of the eggs in this hive are probably in the lower box, so I'll check that in a second. These are the extra drone brood here that they just stuck in between any empty space because they don't really follow my rules. They just do whatever they want. If there's a gap in there, they'll put eggs in there. It's a nice strong hive. This is all full here except for the 2 outside frames, and this one over here is full in the middle except for maybe 2 frames in either side. So I'm going to look for some babies in here. This is what I did not want to see. That right there was stuck to the bottom. See how big and long that cell is? That's a queen cell. There's a baby queen inside there. She should hatch in a few days. That's really bad because that means I was too late for this. This was too strong, and it's going to swarm. So half of these bees, here's another queen cell right there. Oh, wait a minute, right there. See that? The head coming out? That's a queen hatching right there. See the eyes? Doesn't look like the other bees because she hasn't matured yet, and there's another one in here. Remember, only one queen per hive. So this one was too strong, and these babies now have to hatch and become the queen for the hive because the other one swarmed and took off probably last couple of days when it's been warm. Bad bee management on my part. Yeah, it definitely swarmed. Right here is the 1, 2, 3, 4 queen cells. See this one here, it's already empty, the queen's hatched. So there's a new queen in here. Here's another one that hatched. So this hive is definitely swarmed. See how much bigger these are than the regular cells in there. So somewhere in here is a baby queen. If there's 3 or 4 that hatch at the same time, they fight it out and only one survives. So I'm not going to take anything from this hive because it's going to take her a while to start laying, laying eggs, and she'll probably kill off. This one here hasn't opened up. In fact, let's open this up because we don't need it. Here's one. See that? That's a queen larva right in there, much bigger than the regular babies. These are regular ones in here. So in there's a baby larva pupa. There's one. That's a queen right there. Only one per hive. We got too many. All right, I'm going to put this one back together. Next hive, a little bit hard to see, but there's babies in different stages. These guys are ready to hatch, the ones that are capped. See that one bee right there is looking inside, feeding them. There's a drone, one of the male bees. And then if you look over here, there's some babies right in there, and that's what these guys are doing. They're feeding the babies. And here's some really new babies in there. So the one problem is if the queen is somewhere in here laying and I put her in another hive, then that hive, the old one, needs to make a new queen. But that's part of the fun of beekeeping, is trying to figure all this out. Already a little queen cell starting there in the bottom, you see it? But that's a pretty new one, so not too worried about that. I'm going to put this into the 5th hive, the new one. This is the second hive I've looked at. If you look closely here, queen cell, queen cell, queen cell, queen cell. So all of these are the hives are growing really fast, but that's why I put these supers on so that they have more room and can put honey in it, but there hasn't been any honey in the upper boxes yet. But again, it's only the end of May. This is a much stronger hive, but it hasn't swarmed yet. It's a nice full frame here of bees that are ready to hatch. And this is going to be good because they'll hatch in a few days, and then that'll strengthen the new hive that I'm making. Over on this side, there's a lot that have already hatched, but there's some pollen in there. And there's a few babies over here, but again, some queen cells over there. In fact, this hive's so strong with queen cells. Here's another one that's got the babies ready to hatch on both sides. I'm going to stick this in there also. Take a couple of empty ones from the new hive, put them in here so they have more places to lay. Hive of the 4 that's starting to put a little bit of honey away inside the super. See the shiny stuff there? So just a little bit, but if the bees are active, it can fill these frames within a day. Just starting to do a little bit there. Once there's enough in each of the cells, it's just going to put a little covering of wax, just like over the babies. This hive's a little bit weaker than the rest. You can see the bees are really only on half of the frames and no queen cells. Although they did have babies, so there is a queen in here. New hive, I'm just taking some of that sugar out of there. just to make the path a little bit easier. There's a hole drilled right through this little cage here. And usually put these in upside down because right in there, that bee's dead. And if you have it like this, that bee could plug up the hole and not let any of these other guys get out. So I'm going to put this in like this. And the queen is this long one right here. See, the rest are pretty short. Queen is the one right, she's hiding underneath everybody else under there. Right under there. So I'm going to put her in like this, check it again in 3-4 days and see if they've released her, and then leave her alone for a couple weeks and make sure she's laying babies. Propolis. This is like a varnish and antiseptic for the bees. What they do is anytime there's a little crease in here, they'll take this and they'll plug it up here. And this is actually sold in health food stores because it can help with sore throats. Tastes almost kind of minty. Not a bad taste, but it does have a tendency to plug up the teeth because it's kind of sticky. And sometimes bees will make so much they actually have to knock it off. There are propolis collectors, but I don't do that. It's just, I usually get plenty when I'm cleaning the hives. This is an inner cover that goes on top. There's a stick that goes over like this before the outer cover. The bees can go in and out, and it also allows circulation. So when it gets really hot in the summer, they don't want to have the wax melt in there because it's too hot in the hive, so they can circulate and get the air from the bottom of the hive up through out the top. All right, so today we've made a new hive. That one there. We know that that one's kind of weak. I'm going to have to watch that. This one here has swarmed. These two are nice and strong, and they're just starting to put a little bit of honey into the box on the far left. Obviously, I don't want to put any honey supers on this new one because they have to make babies in order to collect honey first. So maybe towards the end of the summer, middle of the summer, I'll put some on there. Sometimes I've had 6 or 7, 8 boxes on top of one hive if it's a really good year and there's a lot of nectar flowing. Hope you enjoyed that. See you.